this computer. So what we're saying is that we are trying to ask people to reach out to people from a place of inspiration, not desperation. Most people, the reason they don't like asking people for money is because they feel like they're snoring. They feel like they're begging. They feel like, oh, can you just do this for me? You feel like a taker, right? And nobody wants to feel like a taker. So what do people want to do? Is they want to be like a giver, right? And how do we feel like a giver? Is by telling people that they have an opportunity, by making them the hero, by letting them in on the special idea, the special concept, the special project, and saying, hey, you can be part of this, you can join us. And they feel like they're part of this exclusive group, this exclusive opportunity. They get the schuss of being involved in that. And that it changes the entire perspective, because you're no longer saying to somebody, can you do this for me? Can you give to me? Can you donate? We don't use words like donate. We're saying, do you want to join this project? Do you want to be part of this? I'm part of this. Do you want to be part of this with me? Right? It's the most natural thing in the world. Think about it. If you eat at a great restaurant, if you hear a great shiur, if you go on a great vacation, right? What do? We tell our friends about it, right? We say, oh, you have to try this restaurant. Oh, you have to visit this place. Oh, your kids would love that activity, right? Whatever we do in our lives, when we experience something, we want to share those experiences with other people. And being that we want to share those experiences with other people, we have to take that same approach here. Is I'm involved in this. I get so much out of being involved with Torah that you should be involved with it too, whether they live in Great Neck or not, right? So to that extent, so I want to walk you through the how, right? So now if we have the perspective, we understand, okay, what we're going to do. So how are we going to do it, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I want to show you the campaign page. So we have here the campaign page, which has a nice graphic explaining what we're doing very clearly. Has a paragraph explaining in more detail. We can see everybody's team page. So if you don't have a team page already, or if you know somebody who doesn't have a team page already, so very simple. We have here torah.thechesedfund.com, and all you have to do is click on this join the team button, and you can put your email in here, you put your name in here, you put your phone number, you put your team name. So if you're doing Team Simcha, so you'll see here on the bottom, your team URL is, and you can copy and paste this and start fundraising as soon as you hit that register button. And on top of that, you put in a goal. You can get email notifications, so you can see every time somebody donates. This takes 30 seconds to fill this out, and you can copy and paste this and start fundraising. And like I said, if you see anybody on here who has not yet taken a goal, who you think is involved in the shul and would be dedicated, then please encourage them to take on a goal. What we also have for you is we have volunteer packets. So the volunteer packets will distribute this in the group. Essentially, we have some basic information about why we want to be involved in the campaign, what the benefits are to the community, and on signing up for a team, like I just showed you. We have your script. The script is not meant to be read from like a robot. Anyone who sits on a phone call and says, "Hi, I'm calling from Torah," or "Is Mr. Smith out?" It's not you don't want to be cold calling like that. But what the idea of the script is to kind of direct you for how a call should go, right? Introduction, explanation, and then follow through. And ideally, every phone call should end with you being able to either take somebody's credit card over the phone, walk them through donating over the phone, getting them to commit to a certain amount of money if they want to send a check. So that way we know, how much we're getting from them. So that's a basic overview of the script. And then we have here 3 messages that are WhatsApp or email templates. The idea is that we're taking the hard work off of you. You can take any of these 3 messages, send it out, copy and paste it, edit it so it has your name, edit it so it has your personal link, but basically you have what you need to send, and you can send people multiple times. Because the name of the game is multiple touch points, right? I can't tell you how many times, I get my wife sends me a link saying, hey, can you donate to this? And then my kid needs something, or I get a work call, and then I don't remember. And then later in the day, I'm another friend who's raising money sends me something for that campaign. It's like, oh yeah, I meant to donate, right? So sometimes people need a phone call, sometimes they need a WhatsApp or a text or an email to prime them. But the reason we give 3 messages is that you can contact people multiple times, unless they tell you. Obviously don't harass someone if they tell you, I'm sorry, now's not a good time. But even to that extent, like I said before, if people, if you're taking the approach that you're not being a taker, but you're being a giver, when people say, the best case scenario is someone's going to say, that sounds so great, let me do something. Or they're going to say, worst case, now's not a good time, but that's so amazing what you're doing. Because you're framing it from a place of, here's an opportunity, here's something you can do, not give me money, not, donate this, not guilt, You're saying, I'm volunteering, such a different ask. When you say, hey, I'm volunteering for this cause, it's such an important cause, so I'm volunteering for it. And part of that volunteering is I committed to trying to raise $5,000, and I would love if you could partner with me on this. All the more so if you're giving a donation yourself. You could say something on the lines of, oh, I already gave $1,000 myself, and I'd love it if you could match me. I'd love if you could do something too to join me, because then you're showing them you're not taker, you're completely a giver. You're a giver of your time, you're a giver of your money, and you want them to also be a giver with you, and you're giving them the opportunity. So playing that up is huge. Saying, I gave $150. I really wish I could have done more. So I'm trying to raise money because I believe in this so much. And when you tell someone, I believe in this, I think this is important, the best case scenario is they're going to join you. And the worst case scenario is they're going to say, it's really admirable what you're doing. Hatzlacha, I really wish I could do more. I really wish I could do something. But they'll make you feel good and not bad about asking for them, because it's coming from the right place and perspective. So you can use, again, these tools, scripts for phone calls, WhatsApps, and the email templates to reach out multiple ways. Some people you might need a more direct ask. Phone calls are obviously the best, because it's much harder to say no to somebody when you're on the phone with them. It's much easier to ignore WhatsApp, or just to say, I'm sorry, I can't right now, on a WhatsApp, where they don't have to actually talk to you on the phone. So the more people you can call, the better. The last piece of this, so we have here the memory jogger, right? The memory jogger is basically a list of everyone in your life, the family professionals, your people in your community, people who you get services from, friends, your kids' friends, basically any sort of person in your life who you could theoretically ask for a donation. Right. And something like this is very important, because sometimes we just don't think about it, or we don't plan. And what I tell people is the best thing you could do is to kind of plan ahead for who you're going to call. Right. So rather than just like going through your Rolodex, alphabetically during the campaign, if you could do that now and you make a list to yourself of every person who you want to call, and then you can think, like I always say, like, okay, if let's say you're trying to raise $5,000, right? And every one of us here can raise $5,000. I'll tell you about that in a second. But let's say you're trying to raise $5,000. So you want to try to take the path of least resistance, right? So you make a list of, let's say, 100 people who who you can ask for money. And then you can prioritize who has the biggest capacity and start with those people. And then, you might see how much you have left to call, and you can really raise a lot more than that. So the reason I say everyone can raise $5,000, and I'm not telling people not to take smaller goals if you're not comfortable with that, because frankly speaking, you can take a small goal and you can always increase your goal. But the reason I say everyone can raise $5,000 is because if you think of like what I call the simcha list, right? If you're making a wedding, you're making a bar mitzvah, you're having some sort of simcha you want people to share in, who among us doesn't have 100 people, 200 people, 300 people that we're telling and inviting to a simcha? So if you take your top 100 people you're inviting to a simcha, if you're close enough to them to invite them to a simcha, you're close enough to them to ask them for $50. So spend the time to reach all 100 people, get 100 donations of $50, and you've just raised $5,000. And most of us could get some donations of 100, 180, 500,000, depending on people's means. And some people will give less, but at the end of the day, all of us have the networks to raise at least $5,000. It's just a matter of putting in the time and effort to do it, and that's really all it comes down to. And to that end, I give the example. My wife, she last year her mother was very sick. Thank God she's doing much better now. But she was in the hospital for a while. She needed a certain procedure. She was in the hospital for 3 months. And because of COVID, we couldn't go and visit her. We couldn't bring her stuff. She was just stuck in the hospital alone. And Bikur Cholim was a major lifeline to connect us to her while she was in the hospital, because they had access that we, as the family, didn't. So when Bikur Cholim did a campaign like this, my wife wanted to show a Korsa Tov. So she said she's going to try to raise $500. Well, she made 3 phone calls and raised $500. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, let me raise 1,000. Within an hour, she'd raised $1,000. She was like, well, I have so many people left I was planning on calling. So she upped her goal to 1,800, and then 3,600, and then 5,400. And at the end of the day, she raised almost $8,000, having called through everyone in her network. And all of us have that potential. Once we get started, once we get excited, and it's just a matter of putting the time in and asking ourselves, how important is this to us? How important is our community to us? How important is our community's future to us? And are we willing to invest everything we can to try to make that happen? And to Mrs. Applebaum's point before, yes, there are a lot of people in the shul who maybe gave already. And, because this is a different cause, there's no reason we can't ask them again. But more importantly, everybody in the shul, even if they gave already, they have not gone to their friends and family to give also. And all of us have networks of people who have nothing to do with the shul, but because it's us asking and because it's something that we care about, people give to people, not causes. And if a person that you care about has a cause they care about, then you'll give to that person to support the cause. So all of us can really expand the reach beyond people who've ever set foot in the shul by just using our passion to reach those people. With that, I want to open the floor for questions, because I'm sure people have questions, and I'd like to help answer any questions that anyone has.
Can you talk for a second about the event on Sunday and how to hype it up over Shabbat? If any of these people here can speak to people over Shabbat or at Minyanim.
Yeah, so the plan is to have a call center on Sunday. The call center is an ideal time to get people to come. I hope everyone here is joining us on the call center on Sunday, whether you're coming for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, the whole day, whether you're coming for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, whatever time you can put in, because the call center, it creates an energy, it creates a vibe where everybody's in it together. Everyone feels that achdut, everyone feels that excitement, and encourages and motivates everyone to be involved. So when you see, oh, so and so just got a $5,000 donation or $100 donation or $200 donation, whatever it is, everyone congratulates everybody else, and it's exciting. So that's number one. Number two is, we'll be there at the call center to support you, to give you help, to coach you, to walk you through if you have any questions. So it's a much more comfortable environment to be able to stay motivated and stay focused and be able to have tools to assist you when making calls. People, when you exhaust your own personal lists, you tell me you've gone through every single person in your Rolodex. So we'll have people that you can call as well, so that way you can keep participating. And on top of that, we'll have, make it exciting. We'll get some food. We'll have some prizes. People who get certain donations and thresholds, and we'll make it fun that people can feel like appreciated for all the effort that they're putting in. And really, everyone on this call, as an ambassador, besides just you being there yourself, what's extremely crucial is this is something the entire community can participate in, right? So even whether they know it or not, we want everyone in the community to be there on Sunday, whether they can come for an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours. everyone, if this shul is important to you, if this place is important enough to you that this is where you daven, on a weekly or daily or monthly basis, if you come for a class once a week or once a month, if this is something that you find is valuable, then this is the time to give back. This is the time to give of your time and your effort to give back. And that message needs to be clear. This is where you can use guilt is, oh, we really need you at the call center. Not for people who are donating who have nothing to do with the shul. People who have what to do with the shul. What I think you said there's 200 people who come to the shul on a Shabbos. The minyanim. So if there's 200 people that are going to be in the shul the Shabbos, if we can get even half of that to come out and donate, a couple of hours of time, that is a serious impact. And this is something we're going to need to do in order to be successful.
We're also going to have a day camp from 1:30 to 5 with a bouncy house, cotton candy, popcorn for like ages up till 7. So anybody who can't come because they have kids, bring your kids. They'll have a great time and you can make phone calls.
Seriously, how much nicer is it for you to win prizes and eat food while your kids are being watched than have to take care of your own kids? I have 3 kids. I would love to dump them at a carnival and make phone calls for a few hours.
Does anybody have any questions?
Come on, somebody's got to have some questions, concerns, hesitations.
How do we get people excited?
Oh, okay, Jen.
How do we get people excited?
Wait, one second. I guess we'll do Joe first and then Hindi.
No, go ahead. I think Mrs. Hassan has a better question than I do.
Oh no, I just was wondering, is there like a specific way that you find success in how you're asking and like wording, or is it just like?
So that's what part of the reason we provide the scripts and the templates is to hit upon certain language. So for example, I don't use terms like donate or can you give us money. I use terms like partner with us, support, things that make them feel special and feel like they're doing something beyond just, opening up their wallets, right? I want people to be bought in on the cause, so what I try to do is to say to them, we have the most amazing community. We have unbelievable shirim. We have amazing excitement and spirituality. And, this place has been amazing for my kids and for myself. And, I know that we need to do this in order to show the Rav, and in order to that we care about him, in order to show the Rav that his needs are being met, and in order to secure our future, that we're going to continue to have this for years to come. So this is an amazing opportunity that we can if we do this, if we make an investment in this campaign, it's going to change the dynamic of the future of this entire community.
Okay. I guess for me, it's a little bit different because it's like Team Hassan and God willing, that house is meant for my personal family.
Oh,
so
I apologize.
You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different.
Fair enough. I wasn't okay. So for you personally, the way I would say it is, we really love being a part of the community. This is such a special community, and this project is going to allow us to do so much more. I'm not doing this so I have a nicer house for me and my kids to live in. I'm involved in this because I know how amazing this community is, and I need resources in order to give to this community in a bigger way. And I'd love you to be able to partner with me on getting those resources where they need to be.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Say, look, if we raise an extra $10,000, we can get a hot tub, or we'll make an extra part of kitchen. We'll get a Pesach kitchen. Those are reach goals.
Okay, thank you.
Joe had a question.
Yeah, but you actually answered it with your first response to Mrs. Hassan.
Okay,
and
great.
I just wanted to add that we have two rabbis here, Rabbi Hassan and Rabbi Alphabaum, and their families, and I think it's just that itself sells it. That itself should sell to the community because everyone knows what they do and how hard they work. Obviously, along with our Rabbi Cohen, but they all work very, very hard. I think that's just the selling point itself, and people should know that sometimes just saying simple things like that would probably help a lot.
Exactly. And you don't want to, it's not about the gosh mystic of a house. It's not about a desperation of, oh, we need to do this because, like there's any kind of like threat. It's a reality that the cost of living in Great Neck, as pretty much everyone in the show should know, is extremely high. And people need to take care of their families. It's a big schus to be able to go into Klei Kodesh, to be able to be a Rav, right? And to be able to give the Rav the right Kovod, right? That's why we're calling the campaign to new Kovod Torah, right? Because this is exactly what we're trying to show is a Kovod Torah given to the Rabbanim.
Definitely. Definitely.
Who else has questions?
I think also, Mr. Rosenblum, if it's possible, maybe format the page in a way that the real campaign is starting on Sunday.
So that's I'll show you. It
I think they switched it. No, doesn't it say starting in 2 days?
Yep. If you go here, let me show you. So here you can see it says campaign starts and it's counting down to when the campaign will start.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, and also we didn't put on the new ad yet. Like we are going to write providing more honorable accommodations or more respects, whatever. But we didn't actually change it to the final ad yet.
Yeah. Also on top, this is maybe doesn't need everyone for this conversation, but just something to think about is preset donations. Are there specific sponsorship opportunities, that we could include that might be easier to sell people on specific sponsorships? That way, when people like on this call are reaching out to their friends and family, okay, well, for $500 you can sponsor X, Y, or Z. For $180 you can sponsor this. For $10,000 you can sponsor that, and that might be ways to get people to feel a little bit closer to the campaign by taking ownership over a certain sponsorship.
Interesting. We could definitely think about that if there's any specific things we could put on.
Yeah. It also helps build out the page and tell people that kind of the things that are being done, sponsor a Shabbos meal for the community, $1,000, or something like that.
1 year of landscaping for the house.
Yeah.
But seriously, like the kitchen is going to prepare seudos for so many Shabbos guests. The dining room is going to have so many Shabbos seudos, and the living room is going to have kiddushim or whatever. We could pinpoint specific things possibly.
$20,000 you can dedicate the kitchen and get a nice little plaque in the kitchen. I'm serious. I know a rabbi here in Baltimore who has a sign on the side of his house that says extension dining room addition dedicated by so-and-so and so-and-so families in honor of so-and-so on the side of his house. Like,
I love that.
He hosts like 100 people for Shabbos every week. So
they would if they could.
He's a bigger dining room.
It's true.
So there you go.
Yeah, their house is literally like the Beis HaMikdash. It just expands to fit the amount of guests that they invite for a meal.
That's actually a very good idea. Could you add that to the campaign? Like if we came up with 10 small, like not 20,000, but let's say like 3,600, 1,800, stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. I would suggest between 5 and 7 because otherwise it just gets too cluttered.
Like the dining room is 3,600 or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, and if there's ones that can sponsor multiple times, to sponsor, a Shabbos for a week, for $360, and people you can make an unlimited amount available. You make 52 available for sponsoring Shabbos for the next year. That type of thing is good, because then you can get multiple people donating that same amount.
This idea that you mentioned regarding a house, do you have, besides that, Rabbi, that what you mentioned, do you have a list of potential ideas that somebody did it?
Yeah, I can show you a few campaigns for things that were dedicated.
Dedicated for a house?
For a house, for yeshiva, which also has a house in it, for a what do you call it? For like a community center.
Okay, I mean, that would give us some ideas, and then we could give the options. Mezuzah, as was mentioned, is a good idea. Each mezuzah.
Shabbos meals, I like also.
Well,
I like the Shabbos meals idea, because people know how many guests those times have, and they'll feel like this is important for the community.
Yeah, exactly.
you have the possibility of emailing.
Yeah, I'll send it all to Mrs. Applebaum after the call.
Okay,
Great.
yeah, that's
Great.
a very good idea.
And
Great.
don't send out the volunteer packet until we put in the final ad.
No. Yeah, I'll let you send it out when you're ready.
Okay, great.
Great.
Okay.
Anyone else that have any questions, concerns? Does everyone think please?
Yeah, question.
Who's that?
I can't put the video on. It doesn't work on my phone. Yeah, it's
This is Rabbi Hassan speaking.
How you doing? Can you so I haven't seen the video yet. I need someone to send me the video. I could always, what I would probably recommend doing, I don't know if it's on YouTube or not already, but I would upload it to YouTube, and then we can just play it off YouTube, and I can upload it to the site off YouTube.
I did send you the link to the video though.
You sent me the link?
I think I put it on our chat with Yoshi. One second, let me.
I'm taking a look.
But I think Rabbi Hassan meant he can't make his video work, so he wanted to say something without it working.
Oh, God, sorry. I thought you meant the video.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yes. No. What I'm saying, I wanted to ask is there like a certain crowd that we should be avoiding, or whatever? Should we focus more attention on in terms of fundraising? Like, focus on this person, not that person. Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
like,
that might
people
be
from
more.
Great Neck, people not from Great Neck, people from, you know.
I certainly think people from Great Neck is probably going to be the icker, because people are more likely to support things in their own community. But I do think that if you know specific people outside of the community, or people who have relationships with you, even maybe there might be someone that you can't personally call, right? But you could have somebody else call on your behalf. But I think, a lot of those, obviously the only people who you shouldn't call are somebody who's going to be offended that if you call them, or somebody who you don't have, I don't know good reason not to call somebody unless you think it's, they don't have any capacity whatsoever,
Right. I know. Now, another question. What do you do about if somebody, like, let's say maybe just a feeling that doesn't make sense, but this is I'm just going to say it anyways. What if you have somebody who like lives in like a 2-bedroom apartment, and he's like, why should I donate to a cause for someone else to live in a house, or I myself live in a tiny little 2-bedroom apartment?
Because I think this is a sensitivity that you're going to have more because, it's going to be for your house. But I think the reality is that even like for most people, like, I lived in a 2-bedroom condo up until a year and a half ago. And if I was being asked, like, to give to something like this, I would say, well, okay, it's not for, it's for my benefit too, right? Is I go to this person for Shabbos, and I see the beautiful Shabbos meals he has. And so, like, yeah, of course, like, I want to contribute to that, but, to whatever extent that I can. Also, is the person living in a 2-bedroom condo because they're poor, or is the person living into the or that's because of all they can afford, or is it like I know a guy, when I used to live in Albany years ago, and there was a guy who lived in a 1-bedroom, little like basement, but he was one of the biggest donors in the community, but he was just an older single guy who lived by himself, had no interest in getting married, and he was very wealthy, and like it just didn't need more than that. So like it always
most people aren't like that. I don't think.
no. So obviously, but people will do what they can, and again, this is where the emphasis is on the house is a resource. If you look like before I got married, I lived in Borough Park, right? And I was part of a shul where the Rav lived in the shul, right? And the Rav had a very, very, very nice house that was like attached to the shul. And the idea there is the Rav is providing for the shul, for the community, right? And his house is just an extension of what he does for the community. So if he wasn't the Rav there, so somebody else, whoever the next Rav would live in that house. But at the end of the day, whether this is not semantics of a private residence and whatnot, I think the reality is that you're using your house to open it up to the community. So the more that's the only thing that really needs to be emphasized, is this will enable you to do more.
I think I want to also mention another point. I think it's Kedai. The system of Rav Chafetz Chaim was, he says I think his son mentions Rav Leib, that his father told the fundraisers of the yeshiva that at the end, if anybody doesn't believe and doesn't want to give, don't even go after. If doesn't believe in the concept of the yeshiva and what Torah means, so it says don't force them and don't go after them. Anyway, so I think that's it. We just try, and if it works, works. If they don't want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will provide another way. So it's just giving an opportunity, as was mentioned, to individuals who are interested. If they are interested, Kovod. If not, Shalom Aleichem.
Right. Okay. So everyone's job right now is, again, if you don't have somebody until Sunday, your job is getting more people signed up for teams. If you know someone, you see someone in the shul, ask them, have you signed up for a team yet? Ask them, when am I going to see you tomorrow? If you're asking them what job is, when am I going to see you tomorrow at the call center? Because we need your help. All right. So that's something everyone can do.
Great. So we're making more teams and we're inviting people to the call center.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Is this going to be mentioned in Shabbat in shul?
It
100%,
definitely should
it
be
needs
as many
to.
times as we can.
No, it's burning.
Okay.
All right. We're done.
Okay, great.
Covered
Yeah,
everything.
if anyone has any questions, I'm on the chat with all of you. Feel free to ask any questions on the chat, and I'll get back to you reasonably quickly.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you
Simcha.
so much.
Yeah, you can also feel free, if you want to message me privately, that's fine too.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Take care.
Thank you. Good night.